This video is sponsored by Aquashine Exteriors, professional jet washing and cleaning services across Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, including Dorset, Hampshire and Wiltshire. Are you feeling it's time to get that driveway nice and shiny for when you come home? Or are you wanting to get that guttering tidied up and spotless again? They deliver this, plus much, much more. Please head into the description below where you'll find their details for their website, including the socials, Facebook and Instagram. You also need to find their before and after portfolio. You can also call them on 07503 998 088 for a free quotation. Don't wait till next week. Don't think you'll do it another day. Pick up the phone, give them a call, check them out.
Hello, Cherries fans. Welcome to a live reaction to Bournemouth's victory. Yes, you heard that right. Bournemouth's victory. Do not adjust your set and what is ticking at the bottom of the screen. That was a 1-0 win away to Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League. Our first 1-0 win of the season. Our first away clean sheet of the season. Our first victory under the permanent managerial reign of Gary O'Neill. To go through that with me, it's Aaron Kaye. How are you doing, Aaron?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Yeah, we forgot what that feeling felt like. And that last few minutes was a bit hairy, but yeah, massive 3 points. Critical time of the season. And yeah, absolutely delighted with that.
Yes, thank you for everyone that's joining us live on this review. Please do say hi in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. We've got Chris Hubble joining us. Hello, Chris. Got AFC Bournemouth Germany. Ugly win is still a win. Absolutely. Donald in as well. Desperate for that win, as you're saying. Hello, Daniel from America. We've got Trapiche. We've got Nick Osborne. Mark Cole, massive 3 points. Do keep your comments coming. Let us know what you thought of the game. But I suppose to get things started, Aaron, the starting lineups, we predicted, or Cherries Red Army predicted exactly the 11, and I think a lot of people probably would have been correct. The only change being Tavernier in for Anthony, which was, easy to see considering how important he's been for the season, and we'll get on to his impact in the game later. But what did you think of this starting 11, Aaron?
Yeah, I think pretty much picked itself, apart from, as you say, Jayden Anthony probably feels a bit unlucky to be taken out. I thought he's obviously been playing really well recently. And again, that partnership with Jay-Z is really important. But I think Tavernier, we know what he can offer us. Obviously, he showed later in the game, and a fully firing Tav. Wasn't really surprised he was brought back into the team. Jack Stevens was brilliant last week, so he kept his place. Question mark, maybe Adam Smith or Fredericks, but no, I think that was probably the only real decision that Gary O'Neill had to make, and that front four when the lineups were announced really excited me.
Yeah, that front four is, I think there's probably an expectation that will become our strongest front four. Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think so. Obviously, Jayden Anthony, as I said, has been on good form. We're hoping that David Brooks comes back to anything like near his best and obviously have a part to play. But I think, you're right. Obviously, the likes of Semenyo, Kiefer Moore, got good options. Christie, backups, I think they're going to become important bench players, maybe play in certain games. But I think the pace, the directness that those four offer you, albeit, most of them probably weren't on their game today. But I think, going forward, that probably is potentially the front four that we'll go with, yeah.
I'd say it's going to be difficult to pick up sort of too many moments, I think, for Bournemouth in this game, because there really weren't that many. But I would say that we kicked off on the right foot. I did think we were quite aggressive. We produced a shot, or at least an attempted shot, within, I think, the first minute from Solanke, which, I think got blocked or didn't really go anywhere. But, there was long periods, particularly under Parker, where it felt as though we just didn't really, it took 10 minutes for our engine to kick into gear at all. And certainly in the last few games, I think we have really launched ourselves out of the blocks, even if we haven't produced a goal from it yet. We've shown a lot more intensity in the initial periods of games in the last few weeks.
Yeah, we did start pressing high, and I think the pattern of the game, certainly we set that pattern. I think we were quite happy to let them have the ball. They're a team who passed it around quite nicely. They were getting Traore in a lot. It still amazes me how he doesn't often start for them, because today, when he did make a rare start, typically against us, they were getting the ball to him at every opportunity. So, he had a really good game, I thought. It was always a threat, although Jay-Z did really well. But yeah, we started the game well. But then the game, as I said, settled into a pattern which kind of was the rest of the game, whereby we were happy to soak up a lot of the pressure and break quickly. And the difference for the last few games is we now have got the players in our team to be able to counter-attack, to play quick football. The likes of Traore, Ouattara, Tavernier, Solanke, have all got pace about them. So we are able to get the ball up the pitch. But what was happening was we were getting the ball up the pitch and counter-attacking quite well. But then the final pass wasn't good. The final shot wasn't there. And I think, as we alluded to a couple of minutes ago, the front four, as exciting as it was, I don't think any of them were really on their game today, if I'm being totally honest. I think, we'll come on to it later, but the defence and the midfield were the heroes today, and they were unbelievably good. But I think the front four, Ouattara, who was unbelievable last week, just didn't do anything today, didn't really get the ball, didn't do much, get the ball away as well. Traore, who again for me has been the player of the last couple of games, certainly at Brighton and Newcastle, again was a shadow of himself. He was getting knocked off the ball quite easily, and not really, just looked a bit lethargic. And Tavernier, I think, to be fair to him, obviously his first start for a number of months, he did look rusty. He again was giving the ball away wasteful. And Dom, again, who never stopped running and will give everything for the team. His final shot is bouncing off him. His final pass, decision making, that was just off. And that was the story of the first half. Really, we got in some decent positions. They didn't threaten us too much. We coped well with that. But those front four just weren't really firing. And I think if it was the first game that we'd seen some of those new players, it'd be like, they're nothing special, but obviously we know how good they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's difficult to say, because it's not as though Traore and Ouattara and certainly Tavernier in the past, Solanke, haven't combined at all with their teammates, in the previous few games. But there were so many moments. We had at least two, maybe even three incredible counter-attacking opportunities in the first half. And the first pass when we were in the opposition half, it was, Tavernier plays it across from the right to left, and it sits behind whoever it's meant to go to. Was it Tavernier or was it to Tavernier? Whichever one. There was one that ends up behind the player. It was Ouattara was in a decent position, tries to cut it to Solanke, hits it straight at the defender. I think there was one other decent chance, and it was concerning, I have to say, because it was, like you mentioned, there were moments where you thought something looked like it might start to come together, and almost the first pass where we looked like we were in a dangerous position was misplaced, went to the defender, was completely wrong. The wrong choice was made. It's incredible that despite this sort of off time that we had, we were still able to sort of stay in the match so well. And it's credit to the midfield and defence. In fact, in the first half, only shot of our first half was a Dominic Solanke block shot in the first minute. Thankfully, at half time, things turned around relatively quickly. A quick mention just that there was a change. That Jefferson Lerma was brought off and Joe Rothwell came on. Lerma, who has had a couple of really good games recently. Rothwell, I thought, I didn't really notice that much, but that means that he had a good game, really, as a central midfielder, I would say. Hopefully Lerma's not injured. That would be a significant blow, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine he is injured, because I can't imagine him choosing to bring him off tactically. He was the defensive linchpin in front of that defence. He was heading out pretty much every corner, seemed to come off his head and clearing it. So I'm hoping it's maybe something like a dead leg or something, something that just couldn't play the rest of this game. Because if he's out for a number of weeks, then that's a massive problem. With obviously like to Pearson let go, Lewis Cook's injured, so suddenly we're very short in that central midfield area. So it was my worry that, even at half time thinking, well, if there's one player you didn't want to go off in a game like this is Jefferson Lerma. So I was hugely concerned when he went off. But as you say, it wasn't long before we found ourselves in the lead with a really well-worked goal. It's a really lovely move, for the first time in the game, everyone was kind of making their passes in that final quarter. And Don pulled it, and this is where Tav is great, because before his injury he was just going to get his numbers in, goals and assists, and coming in on that left hand side and ghosting in and good connection, and suddenly found ourselves 1-0 up. And I think it's so important for us. It sounds obvious, but going 1-0 up in games is huge for a team like ours. Yeah,
absolutely. The only goal of the game came from our one of only 5 shots that we had all match. Our only shot on target. There was Tavernier to put it in off his chest. They do say you just need one to go in as off his backside. Well, the chest will do just as well for AFC Bournemouth, certainly. And yeah, it was just the kickstart that we needed in the second half. But there is always the worry, particularly with Bournemouth as we have been, is that the players will just sit back too much after that and just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. To be fair, we did still have an attacking presence in the match after this goal, I would say. We were definitely happy to sit back, but it wasn't quite the, right, let's just defend for 40 minutes and hope to get something out of the game.
No, I mean, and again, to be fair to Gary O'Neill, he made like-for-like subs again. Tav came off for Jaden Anthony, which, as I said before, the game could have been either or. So it looked like he picked up a bit of an injury. So I'm again, like Jeff, I'm praying that he's not had a recurrence or is going to be out for a few weeks, because just when our squad is looking really strong again, we could do without losing players. But yeah, so Jaden Anthony came on for the left. And then, as I said, Dango didn't have his best game. So Semenyo came on the right. So that was like for like. So that was good at that stage. Didn't go to a back five and think, right, let's sit on it. We kept going forward and, kept pinned back. And that worked, because we did have, again, not much of the ball, but we were able to cause a threat, which meant that they couldn't pile all their players forward and flood us. So that definitely helped. But we looked relatively comfortable. As I said, they got into some dangerous areas, but the defense, I mean, Jack Stevens and Senesi were just superb again, absolutely superb. I can't speak highly enough of Jack Stevens, especially with Mepham, who's been so good this season, kept out the team. Zabani, who I think we all have very high hopes for coming into that slot, but at the moment he's just taking it with both hands, and him and Senesi were just outstanding like they were last week. And Jay-Z as well was brilliant. As I said, I mentioned Traore earlier. He on the whole dealt with him. There's only so much you can do against Traore, and he did get past Jay-Z a couple of times, but that's to be expected. And Adam Smith, again, he got better as the game went on. He had a bit of not a great start, giving the ball away a couple of times. A bit worried about his pace. He picked up his customary yellow. So I thought Fredericks might come on for him actually later in the game like he did last week, but he didn't. But yes, I think at that stage, I wouldn't say we looked comfortable, but Neto had a couple of saves, but nothing like unbelievable saves to make. And we made some good blocks. And I said that defense kept them out, and we did have that outlook with Jaden and then Jay-Z linking up, and Semenyo, had a relatively good game, and Dom forever kept working. So I think at that stage of the game, with sort of up to the last 10 minutes, we kept our shape.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kirk's in chat, and he's become a big fan of momentum bars. As you can see from the match, it really was almost entirely Wolves. There was a period towards the end of the first half where they had over 80% of the possession for 10 minutes or so, which was at this peak around here. And again, they were knocking down the door, but some really, really, really solid defensive performances. I do think that on the ball, they were a little bit questionable at times. There was a few moments where we were being a bit too laissez-faire with the ball in our own third. Tavernier made a mistake again in his own third. Thankfully, didn't lead to a goal. You've got Senesi putting the ball out a lot. Jack Stevens a couple of times was rolling his attacker just to make sure he didn't lose it in his own 18-yard box. But for the most part, as much as I think the team itself didn't really perform as a collective going forward all that well at all, defensively, it was an incredibly solid display. And you're very right to mention certainly the centre-back partnership. I thought Zamora had a really good time dealing, for the most part, with Traore. As much as he got past him, he did keep in touch with him. And when Traore went off and Zamora only lasted another few minutes before Vinya had to come on in his place, I think he ran himself into the ground, as did a lot of players. Solanke could barely get off his feet in the 95th minute. It was just a generally impressively hard-working display with not too much in terms of the skill to go with it, but we were able to just about turn out for the win. So now we go into a hell of a difficult run of fixtures with some big teams to play. The frustrating thing for us, I suppose, is that I'm just going to bring this up for everyone else that isn't aware. There have been some performances from other teams around us that unfortunately have meant that we haven't pulled away quite to the extent that we would have liked. I mean, what do you think? How do you think we're going to be going over the next few games, Aaron? What confidence do you feel that will breed into the squad?
I think it obviously gives everyone a lift. We know how difficult they're going to be, but look, Forest drew with City today, so City aren't quite the City of recent seasons. So that's not a good result for us, because although we gained 2 points on Forest, They would have been just be 3 points behind us, so they're 4 points. I still think they can get dragged back into it. So I'm not sure how. I obviously haven't seen their game. It'd be interesting to see on match today how they played against Manchester City, and hopefully Gary Neal will watch that and try and use that as a blueprint for next week. Southampton winning at Chelsea. I can only imagine what the reaction would have been to Potter at full time in that game. But obviously they stay below us, but it could have been 6 points below us, and they're still 3 points behind us. Everton beating Leeds is one of those ones where it was good and bad. Obviously, Leeds losing is good. Everton winning is not good. A draw probably would have been the best result. But the most important thing is we're now gone above Leeds. We're out of the relegation zone for now. West Ham play Spurs tomorrow, so hopefully Tottenham can do us a favour. So it's just psychologically be out of that line. But look, as I said, Forest drew with City. Wolves beat Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool aren't, again, what they have been in recent seasons. So who knows? Arsenal, obviously, it's going to be a very difficult game there. But I think if we can, what this 3 points hopefully has given us is, even if we lose all three of those games, we won't be too far adrift of the pack. And if we can get through those 3 games, even if we are back in the relegation zone, but 1 or 2 points behind, then I think, that's what this win has done for us. It's kept us in touch. And we show, look, Wolves, we're only 2 points behind them now, but it's a very difficult place to come. And they would probably say it's a smash and grab based on that chart you showed as well. And I think our XG in the first half was 0.05. So I don't know what it was at the end, but who cares? At this stage of the season, it's about results. We've had some positive performances recently without getting results. This is our first win since November, for heaven's sake. So we take it in any way it comes. I don't really care how we played. And as I said, I think, defensively in midfield were exceptional. Going forward, we weren't great, but we got the 1 goal, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the most important thing for us. So there's our upcoming fixtures. We have Man City at home, Arsenal away, and then Liverpool at home before we sort of are able to get back to what we hope will be winning ways against Villa and Fulham. But having said that, Bournemouth as a team, if we're going to stay up, we need to start getting something against the big boys as well. We haven't got a single point against them yet at the first time around. So, with a Man City that aren't in top form, a Liverpool that are very clearly not in top form, both at home, those are real opportunities for us to get something, because it's vital that we start picking up some amount of points from the big boys. But we'll leave that there. Don't want to keep you too much longer. It's a Saturday to celebrate after 3 points there. Thank you very much for all of you joining us. Please do hit the like button. And if you weren't able to join us live, then please do leave your thoughts in the comments below. Every like, every comment really does help in terms of getting us noticed on the algorithm and spreading the channel across football YouTube. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for joining me again, Aaron, on this monumental day for Bournemouth.
Yeah, a massive day. Obviously, neither of us could make it today, but able to watch it, and absolutely delighted, and we can all enjoy our Saturday nights for the first time in based on football, for the first time in some time at least. Yeah,
absolutely. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday with 3 points safely tucked away, coming back to Dean Court. Up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.